Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is HauteLeMode, and today on HauteLeMode we are getting into Milan Fashion Week. We are roasting it, reviewing it, and talking about everything you need to know. Now, the Italian fashion capital of Milan is incredibly important in terms of production, textile manufacturing, all of these different things. Now, their designers are usually quite heritage, and there isn't really a lot of new young talent that you necessarily need to know about, but it's good to always see what the iconic leather goods companies are putting out each season, as well as the independent fashion brands in Milan as well. But before we get any further into the video, if you guys are looking for a channel that talks about fashion in the most fun, sassy, bitchy, analytical way this is, you can go down below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on my post notifications. I mean, like, what do you have to lose? You're already here. And if you guys want to see more from me, you can follow me on any of my social medias linked down below. And you can also check out the Fashion Victims podcast, which I do with my friend Darnell Jamal, where we talk about the fashion news and gossip you need to know. So let's get into our Milan Fashion Week review. Gucci opened Milan Fashion Week with a bang, and thank God, because by the time New York and London were over, we needed something to wake us up a bit. The show took place on a rotating carousel, with the models actually being dressed by assistants as they moved. This season, Alessandro took on the idea of childhood, which he did for his recent menswear show as well. The first look was fantastic. It was a lace gown with layers and trims and all the bells and whistles of a good, ridiculous, over-the-top gown. The bodice consisted of this lace cami-style top that was sheared, which merged into this fuller layered skirt. It was white but was trimmed with this peach or salmon-colored lace, and the front had a bow that fell down the front, which almost was like the dress was opening a set of curtains to showcase even more lace and layers. We then started to see those childhood references come in with a plaid pleated skirt, which is reminiscent of school uniforms, which was paired with knee-high socks and boots, as well as an orange wool coat with Chinese button knots. The model also had a furry head wrap that turned into a scarf as well. Next was a tulle balloon style dress adorned with bows, but the dress showed a sexier side as it had leather BDSM style strap, and the bra cups were actually sheer. Then we got some more quite Gucci-esque styles with plaids and pleats, and that feeling of being dressed by your mother who truly has no sense of fashion. A fully sheer dress accessorized with a leather harness contrasted perfectly with the quite puritanical lace and floral embroideries. Is Alessandro trying to tell us something about how you can be innocent and pure, as well as having a bit of a dark side? Another dress emerges as a sheer Gucci monogrammed bra is covered by a black leather harness, which creates a crop top effect. Then a high-waisted full-length pink skirt with lace trimmings and the Gucci monogram pulls all the way to the floor. A short black lace dress with studded black boots and a black wool bucket hat with leather belt gives it a more punk essence too. Next was a black velvet dress with lace bib, which instantly reminded me of the Pilgrims, the ultimate purveyors of puritanical values, but also being absolutely horrible people. The next look had a model with a black pussy hat, made famous during America's women's marches after Donald Trump was elected president, who also had black mascara running down her face. I assume Alessandro was trying to point out something about the state of the world right now. But was the look memeable? Absolutely. At this point, the more serious the issue the world is facing, the more and more people in the Western world look to humor to help them deal with it. So maybe it's a reflection of our current culture. Shirring, for those that don't know, occurs when an elastic thread is used, which scrunches the fabric and gives it a stretchy effect. The skirt on this dress was quite asymmetrical in the ways that its tiers and layers were constructed, but I actually enjoy that. It felt more like the swirl of a soft serve ice cream cone rather than the normal large tiers. A bunch more of your standard Gucci looks followed till we got to a red, wide, and low plunging dress that had stripes of black bows connecting the dress. Two conveniently covered the nipples of the models, but it was a fun little moment to see, and I assume a nod to Alessandro's Tom Ford inspired collection last season. Another lace gown appeared this time with a Tiffany blue skirt and black long sleeve top. Then there were a bunch of bright color contrasted looks till a pink and purple gown emerged with a black leather harness layered on top. The layers fell from the center and created a beautiful ruffle-like effect, and while I know no one will actually buy these gowns, it makes me happy to see Alessandro experiment like this. The rest of the collection rounded out with some day wear looks like a mohair sweater, nice suits, and a few pairs of ripped jeans. Alessandro was getting a bit stale for a while, but after last season he picked it up, and this season he's proved he has very strong arms. Next, let's talk about Moncler x Richard Quinn. Richard Quinn, as we mentioned in previous videos, aka the London Fashion Week video, has become a starlet in the fashion world, and he has become one of the select few designers asked to collaborate with the French outerwear company, Moncler. The roster of designers who work with them is small, but curated well, with favorites like Simone Rocha and Craig Green holding two of those coveted spots in the world of Moncler Genius. But Quinn held a quite spectacular little show, starting with a floral printed puffer coat and tights with a matching shoe with gigantic flower on the toe. You might recognize the feather headpiece as it's a Quinn signature. And in reality, it seems like he can stand with his colleagues on 2 feet. Next was a 1960s psychedelic floral pattern made with some sort of shaved fur, although I'm unsure of whether it's real or faux. I love the fur bag. Spherical is in, just ask Marni and Sarah. A gingham puffer skirt and jacket set with scalloped hems with floral details was funky too. The next look might be recognizable as legend Celine Dion recently wore it, but it's a more structured version of the puffer coat look that opened the show. Then there were mini dresses in a floral print, gingham, and zebra, and there were a few nicely fitted coats as well in more psychedelic floral prints with matching spherical bags. The collection then took a turn and became much more about outerwear with rainbows and flower jackets and floral puffer jumpsuits. Whatever Quinn is smoking, I need some. A floor-length daisy covered coat with a crystal daisy dress, matching tights and shoes, and a pair of daisy goggles gave us the drama and silhouette we have been missing since Pier Paolo Piccioli didn't show his Moncler collection this season. A hooded puffered coat dress that gradiated from black to a psychedelic floral print was next, and a rainbow version followed. A zebra print face mask and top was paired with a mermaid floral puffer gown with oven mitt gloves. Then a full face covering top with gloves attached helped an off-the-shoulder warm floral puffer gown, while the finale dress was another psychedelic puffer gown with hood and face mask. I love that the dress has godets to create that texture, and a full circular tube layered at the bottom to give it that extra drama. I truly love the Moncler Genius collections, as they really do push what we normally think of fashion and give designers like Quinn an amazing outlet to create amazing fashion moments like these. Next, let's talk about Prada. Miuccia Prada wanted to explore the idea of masculinity and femininity and showcase that women can be taken seriously in traditionally feminine clothes this season. While I'm unsure of whether or not she succeeded in that endeavor, it was a Prada collection through and through, meaning there was lots to explore. The show started with an oversized gray blazer that was cinched tightly with a black belt in the classic Saffiano leather. The belt also had a Prada coin purse attached, which doubled as a decorative belt buckle, and underneath that all was a stringy black fringe skirt. Juxtaposition is a classic Prada trope. Next was a full gray coat that had a black bandana tied around the neck, from which bundles of thin brown hair tumbled down to the model's hips. Do I appreciate Miuccia pushing out ideas of what accessories can be? Yes. Do I want to look like I'm suffocating a Brazilian woman by stuffing her and her luscious bundles down my coat? With all due respect, fuck no. The takes on office wear continued and were quite interesting to say the least. There were slits in skirts, double slits in skirts, and the classic Prada pleats were turned into strips as well, giving a school uniform fringe effect. Prada then started to introduce furs in long and short form, but kept those skirts coming. These fur coats are from what I believe faux, as Prada was another brand that vowed to go fur-free. A slew of woven in black and white fabrics had more formal notes with skirt suits and ties and more playful themes through beaded fringe shoulders. Then Prada started to show knit bra tops and tights in corporate gray, but added sheer tuxedo bib dresses and even beaded sheer dresses too. When I originally saw these looks, I felt that it defeated the purpose of Prada's message. Who could actually take these looks seriously in a work environment? But then I realized, well, if someone walked into a meeting dressed like that and got straight to work, I wouldn't be able to do my own work because I would be so wrapped up, intrigued, and well, enthralled by the look. Honestly, that's my fault, not theirs. And well, I would take her seriously, so maybe Miuccia is pushing us to open our minds to what professionalism can be and can look like. We then got some pocket and lapel details on gray blazers and jackets, which was explored last season as well. Then we got some nylon jackets and blazers too, as I believe Prada is trying to push their classic nylon as it has become quite popular amongst young shoppers. The bright colored knit bras and tights came back, but the sheer dress layered over top had a flower silhouette in black, which then fed into puffer sets. There were oversized blazers of different colors juxtapositioned against color-blocked skirts and boots. We then got a whole gaggle of shearling coats and vests in gray, pink, and black, and there was even a shearling boot too. A fringe skirt set and coat also passed along, while another shearling coat had very intricate Chinese knot buttons. The fringe continued, this time adding embellishments on as well, a Prada signature. But the show closed out with 2 pajama sets, which are a Miuccia Prada personal favorite. All in all, is it a weird collection? Absolutely. But is it full of Prada references and classics, and is Miuccia exploring new ideas throughout, even if they don't always land? Absolutely, and for that, we have to stand. Moschino. Jeremy Scott's Moschino is constantly drawing from cultures and references it shouldn't be. But luckily this season, Jeremy stuck to his own lane and looked to 18th century French court to influence this season. Think Marie Antoinette, but with more modern fabrics. The show opened with a denim pannier dress with gold foliage embroidery piping the look like a decadent cake. And the pannier dress continued with a skirt that was draped in the style of fringed rococo curtains and adding a leather jacket with that gold foliage embroidery as well. Now, I am kind of an 18th century French rococo geek. I just really love the excess of that time period when it comes to garments and aesthetics, which leads me to the first denim look from the collection. Like the first pannier dress, it is covered in that gold embroidery, which during the 18th century would have been incredibly expensive due to there not being embroidery machines. But this look is also important because it is similar to the habit à la française, which was an ancestor of the modern three-piece suit. It's nice to see Scott modernize the style in more casual fabrics like denim, while also having the jeans be low-rise. I also think cutaway coats like this should totally come back, because oof, I would die. It'd be so hot and sexy. More panties came in trench coat material, as well as a quilted silk version trimmed with ostentatious gold details that instantly scream rococo. There was another denim and gold look, although it came in a tight and salacious corset with hot pants to boot. A leather motorcycle jacket pannier dress appeared, and Scott does love a motorcycle jacket. I mean, look at his signature Moschino bag. He took on the three-piece suit again, this time washing the denim so that what looked like illustrations from the 18th century appear throughout the denim. Also bringing back that big ruffled bib could be hot for menswear, no? The Moschino logo, usually reserved for tees and sweatshirts, became pannier dresses as well, although the black version kept its hood. I personally think I would wear it to get snacks from my local deli. And the most beautiful pannier dress was black with white ruffles on the bib and sleeves with the ruffles, which were piped with black so they almost had their own outlines. It was gorgeous. There were toile de jouy prints on pannier dresses as well as bags and shoes, and more demure pink floral prints emerged as well. Scott, forever dipping into pop culture, printed characters from the popular anime Roses of Versace on sweatshirts, dresses, and corsets. Then there was a take on a robe à la française, the traditional court dress during Marie Antoinette's time. But instead of having a chemise dress and a corset underneath the over-the-top satin garment, it was placed directly on the skin, which is much more of a modern take on dressing. A pair of wash jeans that had the illustrations were placed underneath instead of a skirt as well, which really showed Scott was trying to somewhat modernize the piece. Then a few shaved brocade rococo pattern pieces emerged in psychedelic colors, and they were a lot, but I somewhat enjoyed them at the same time. Scott closed out the show with structured garments that resembled tiered cakes, which could be a reference to a famous misquoting of Marie Antoinette's "Let them eat cake." When Scott finds a theme that lets him stay within his lane, it's fun and cool and chic and playful, and that is something I'd like to see more of. Next up is Marni. Francesco Rizzo's Marni took on the idea of Alice in Wonderland this season, as well as confronting the idea of sustainability in fashion, as he has been doing for seasons now. The show started with an A-line dress that was a collage of different fabric scraps to create a pattern that reminded me of the Someday That I Used to Know music video. The makeup didn't help, and it also didn't help that Julian Deese, the hairstylist who put cornrow wigs on white models for Comme des Garçons, doused the models for Marni in silver and gold glitter that streaked down their face. The style of collage continued on coats, skirts, and more dresses, as well as getting a bit lighter on an A-line dress and pant combo that was incredibly chic. I love the thick strap top that was tied at the breast and fell away to reveal a skirt that looked as if it was slicked in oil. Then knit collage dresses and cardigans with crude stitches indicated their imperfections, which were kind of chic. I enjoyed the leather dress as well as a white and blue dress that contrasted against each other in quite a stark manner. A structured blue coat looked like it had been left out in the sun for too long, which was an effect Rizzo had been pining after. The gridded diamond styles in black were interesting, and Rizzo circled back to the crude stitch knits as well as the sun-bleached effect too. Then Rizzo explored brocades with frayed hems while collaging them together on those tied tops, coats, and full-length dresses. The finale dresses were in that collage style as well, although they didn't include only fabric, but gold and silver metals, as well in interesting shapes that had holes, which became cutouts in their own way. Rizzo emerged to take his bow with a rabbit head in a similar manner to Lee McQueen when he did it in 2009. Next up, let's talk about Versace. I truly wish someone from Capri Holdings, the Michael Kors conglomerate that now owns Versace, would bring in the new blood that is needed for the brand. Because trying to get Donatella to do something interesting with the collections each season is like trying to get blood from a stone. This season explored the ideas of hypermasculinity and hyperfemininity, but failed to make anything worthy of the hype. The show opened with a full black ensemble, which meant fitted blazer, tight knit top, and pleated skirt paired with a black leather bag and shoes. Could you buy it already in a Versace store, maybe next to the JLo print on clearance? Most likely. Like a slick of oil, all black looks followed with shrugs over dresses, cropped leather jackets, and flare pants, where the stitches were visible so it killed the effect. Color finally began to become infused with red houndstooth blazers as well as coats and jackets. Then there were tracksuits and shitty, tacky takes on quilted jackets, like which waspy New England mom is gonna buy that shit? Then Donatella started to explore the rugby shirt. Maybe she's still salty that Riccardo Tisci went to Burberry and not Versace. There were psychedelic floral matches with zebra prints, and every look from this collection makes me realize more and more that we need a true visionary to take over the house of Versace. Otherwise, it will truly never work. When the classic Versace Barococo prints were done in that quite Miami nightclub colorway, I have to say I actually enjoyed it. The Barococo prints are such a staple of the brand, and seeing newer takes on them is refreshing. But then we get a whole section of the collection where different leathers and denim were cut into strips to make these quite frankly awful and tacky jeans, skirts, and jackets. Now, while I just complimented Marni on their use of recycled fabrics, here it just looks like a bad Fashion Nova collection. Some aesthetics already look cheap, but that's just part of Versace. But when certain elements come together, it makes it look far too cheap. And that's where Versace went wrong here. Then a range of cutout focused looks emerged, some cut out just to reveal skin, while others had double linings which showcase vibrant colors like green and orange. It wasn't terribly interesting, it was just there. Some of the cutouts were held together with rings and staples, maybe a reference back to the famed BDSM Versace collection of fall 1992. But Donatella's take on the Miss S&M collection is 30 years too late, and doesn't innovate on the original collection, leaving us with a whole bunch of references, but nothing to transform them into something new or innovative, or something we should care about. There's 30 more looks of black and prints, but I won't bore you with it as it's truly not worth your time. But the finale chainmail dresses with messy hems sure are. Now, while I understand chainmail can be a difficult textile to manage, I don't expect to see such an awful hack job at the bottom of not one, but 2 dresses. If those hems aren't enough to tell you Donatella and her current design team have got to go, well, the rest of this collection should. Daniel Lee's Bottega Veneta may make beautiful accessories, but that's about it. Cause his collections season after season leave me puzzled as to how anyone can actually write a positive review of such absolute poppycock. The show opened with 3 menswear looks all in black with pops of dark eggplant in turtlenecks, button-downs, and vests with split-hem pants. A woman's look in a very similar vein appeared before a pea soup green dress with princess seams used to ruche the baggy sleeves made you feel like you were looking at a drag queen's take on a parachute-themed runway challenge from RuPaul's Drag Race. And even then, I don't think one of those queens would make it look that cheap. Another black suit appeared, this time with a neon green knit top that matched the woven bag the model was carrying. Veneta's accessories seem to be the money makers for the company, so playing the styling around them is a smart move. Then poor Ada Akech was given the absolute impossible task of trying to make that reversible ribbed fringe dress look good. And sorry Daniel, but you set her up for failure because no one could make that monstrosity look good. Besides the twisted halter neck and those awful puke green sleeves, the woven bag with fringe truly made me want to die. I did love the crocheted shirt and dress with the dancing person motif on them. A green ribbed cardigan with a matching skirt that had fringe falling out of it was like when you make spaghetti using strange colored Play-Doh. Doesn't really look good, but it happened. There was a beautiful sheer turtleneck dress, and I didn't hate the pleated looks either, as the sleeves were quite beautiful. But the more fringe in both reversible halter and Play-Doh spaghetti form was painful. A purple version of the parachute drag on a dime look came as well as a sleeved reversible knit dress with fringe. Also, don't make your fringe pea yellow. It'll make everyone think you have a lot of accidents. A pair of beige slouchy crystal pants paired with a cutout top that creates a waist through the cutouts was interesting, but again, a bit crafty panda for me. Although it was nice to see the woven puffer style make a comeback in vest form. I did expect to see a few more of that woven puffer style, seeing how it's fall winter 2020. The crochet skirt dancing man look was nice, and I weirdly enough didn't hate the shearling coat with fringe. But I do really love shearling, so take my bias with a grain of salt. Some sequin turtleneck dresses appeared, as well as new colorways for the parachute dresses, as well as that fringe disaster. While the finale look was a boring men's raincoat, I'm just gonna imagine it was this nice knit dress for my own sanity. While I applaud Daniel Lee trying to experiment, this Icarus is flying very close to the sun when it comes to his clothing. Next up is Fendi. Silvia Venturini Fendi has ascended to the Fendi throne after the passing of Karl Lagerfeld, and she's done a mighty good job of showing that while Karl was brilliant, he isn't necessary for the brand to continue succeeding. This season was full of evidence of that. The show started with a gray wool coat with sleeves that looked like they had been heat pressed to create texture, as if the coat sleeves had been tilled like fields. After that followed a satin dress, and instead of just the sleeves being covered in what I now will call this fabric manipulation tilling, the whole dress was. Another skin-tight dress had the tilling on the sleeves, but also used it vertically throughout the body of the dress, and horizontally to create cups to frame the breasts. I love a boxy till jacket, as the texture made the jacket look like it was made of velvet or corduroy. I love the pale pink A-line dress version of the coat we saw earlier. It's just such a delicate color mixed with the tilling. It has a bit of edge to it. Fendi is known for its furs, so a leopard print emerging without a leopard fur was a nice nod to the brand's history without getting into killing endangered animals for furs territory. That's just somewhere you don't want to go. Furs did appear, whether it was placed over those gray military style coats or whether it was just a big black fur coat. Normally, paisley does make one think of an older crowd, but Fendi used what looks like a mohair and the corporate gray to give it a bit more of a serious tone compared to its usually bright and effervescent vibe. There was this simple halter neck gray dress with the halter transforming into a long bandana, which tied around the neck. This was done with a leather top as well, which is a good way to spice up normally simpler styles. After that was definitely the best leather coat I think I've seen this season. The leather looked plump and thick and juicy, and seams throughout the coat contoured the body and gave the coat a cool texture, which is great to explore outside of that wool and satin tilling style. A black boiler suit and leather didn't have the same effect though, neither did the caramel skirt version, but the green coat and pleated skirt recovered the fumble well. We got more daywear looks with dramatic structured sleeves on cardigans, dresses, and tops. Paloma El Cesar walked the show, and she was one of the first plus-size models to ever walk for the brand, which is a shame, but a step in the right direction. Hope to see even more shapes on the runway in the future. There was another paisley leopard print, as well as a beautiful velvet dress with tilled sleeves. A few quite risque black sheer looks appeared to show that Fendi isn't just about pretty styles. A tilled bodysuit in that precious pink was nice, as well as that light creamy fur coat. The look that followed reminds me of a vagina, and while I love a vagina, I'm not sure many want to parade around with one on their torso. The collection closed out with some lace looks in all different colors that were accentuated with leather coats, fringe, and that bandana wrap style. A strong collection from Miss Fendi, which proves that she doesn't need anybody to help her. And honestly, Donatella could take some hints. With that, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I loved getting to talk to you about Milan Fashion Week. Please let me know if there are any shows that you guys wanted me to talk about that I missed. I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. And get prepared for Paris. We've created a whole playlist, so if you've missed New York and London, well, you can now check it out here in our playlist. And wait for Paris. It's going to be cute. Don't worry. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and TTYL.